Good evening traders, Mark here from the day trading room. It's coming up to 10 p.m. London time on excuse me, Thursday the 26th of August, and we've had a very interesting day. Just two trades for me today. I wanted to get involved in the evening action, or the evening London time action, afternoon New York time. But my Tradestation data was playing up, so I couldn't get on the end of any of that. But nevertheless, we've got two great trades in the morning, um, so happy either way, and hopefully this Tradestation data issue can be sorted out. So let's run through what we got up to. Got this hatch line here, which is the unfilled gap I've still got from several days ago. So, but at the moment you can see that any push towards that gap is being rejected. We had on the actual gap day, we had a couple of attempts higher, which were rejected, and yesterday we had a rejection late in the day, and this morning during the trade we were rejected a few times before finally curling over. So what was I looking at this morning? Well, let's run through this trade. This was actually the second trade of the day. I did one in the pre-market, which I'll run through in a minute, but let's just want to run through this one now. This is what I've got on my chart. I've deleted these lines and I'm going to put them back on to show you what I'm looking at. I've got this downtrend here. I'm looking at this point, this point here, this level here, and this level here. We're in this downtrend at the moment. We have been for past week or so. And what we've been getting is little counter trend rallies up to that downtrend that have failed. Now this morning I was watching this level here, and I noticed that we were opening up um, around this level here, and there was a gap fill trade to be had there. But for me, the bigger trade was seeing how we responded here. Now I had two premises. This is a 5-minute chart, by the way, of the YM futures. I had two premises. The first was to see a significant break of this level. You can see how key this level has been. So I had two premises. If we broke this level, I would wait then for a pull back, and then I would take a long, looking for a final target of the gap fill trade. The gap fill, sorry, not the gap fill trade as in the daily gap, but the gap as in the prior few days it's been left unfilled. So that was one premise. Now, another premise for me was to see this fail and then roll over. And so we got this sort of situation today where as we approached it, I was ready. I had two trades in mind and I was ready to see which one occurred. Yesterday we had this uptrend. This uptrend was still in place, and what we're almost forming a wedge type pattern on the longer time frame. So a break of it either way is going to yield potentially a good trade. Now let's go back to the 1 minute. That's the background, and see where the price is in relation to the last few days. That's the background to the setup. So let's look a little bit closer on the 1 minute at what we got up to today, having looked at that background. Today we just couldn't break above this 10.077 level. As we know from the 5 minute, it's a key level from several days ago. It was a key level overnight, or the 70 was, and it was yesterday's high. We tried this morning to break up, we couldn't break up, and we filled the gap. We then tried to push back into the range, and we came down and tested this uptrend line, which is a continuation from the uptrend on the 5 minute, and actually broke through it. Now at that point I was very close to pulling the trigger on that trade, but one thing stopped me from going in at that level, was the fact that the gap, the cash gap for today, was literally just here. Now, and we had also had obviously the overnight low here, excuse me, and the ES gap I think was equivalent of around here, and this 10.029 key level from several days ago. So there's a big cluster of support here, and although I was looking for a break of this trend line, I'm always cautious when we've run 50 or so points from the open in the first 30 minutes or so, especially when we've seen red candle, green candle, red candle, green candle. I'm always cautious to actually take a break. I prefer to fade the move rather than taking the break unless we see the opening drive very heavy from the open. So I didn't actually take that trade there, nor did I take the buy, but the buy was actually quite a good trade, and people who got under the end of that were rewarded quite well, especially when we pushed lower the second time, and this candle tipped the market, gave the market tipped its hand, and we pushed straight back up, and it was a great trade up for this high. What interested me more was this area here. Now again the 10077 held, we came back, but we found some support on the rising uptrend from the 5 minute. This was, don't forget, the cash, should I say the futures gap, and a little bit of support from the 10048. We then pushed back up, and a lot of people now, having had this higher low from this morning, are now looking for this push higher. And interestingly enough, this is right on. If you can imagine the 5 minute downtrend that I showed earlier, this is pretty much what's happening with that. That's pretty much where it's going. Let's redraw that with the actual Tradestation tool. That's pretty much what it's looking like. So there's a lot of people watching that level. Now we broke through, great. We saw some high ticks on this first bar through, great. We're ready to go long. Now I want to see any pullback. I want to see a serious break. I would rather see it break, pull back much further on, and take that than I would to take the break. I'm still not 100% convinced, because of the way this candles were alternating, that this was going to be, and because we'd seen weakness there, then we'd seen strength. We had seen a shift in supply and demand over every 5 minutes or so. So that really keeps me away from anything seriously breakout in nature. So the big setup was taking the break of the trend, of that lower trend line. And don't forget, this also was the upper trend line from yesterday. So it was really forming here. But what happened is we got the situation where it popped through for the second time. This became very tiny tape resistance. We popped through, we didn't get anywhere near as high ticks, and the telltale sign, as the telltale sign was here, was the immediate wave of selling that came in and broke it through this low. So you wait, try and get a little tiny bit of pullback, but it's only just to try and finesse the entry, and there's the short. That is the short entry, and you've got a perfect stop above there. Now the way to manage this, I had a stop above there, but I was looking to, as I said before, looking for a break of a trend line. So if this had broken back up here, I would have taken my stop, and more than likely I'd have gone long. However, now that had sucked in a fair few longs, this higher high, we had a higher low, a higher high. We've now failed that and come back into the wedge. There's a few more people who are getting a bit concerned here. So at this point now, I do my usual thing. We hovered around here, we pushed lower, didn't quite get a scale, push back up, then push lower. There's my first scale. I've still got half of the position on. We then push lower, and now we're coming into this key level of this uptrend here from yesterday. Now this is the longer term downtrend here. So expectation is, if that is holding, we are going to push to yesterday's low, or at least to yesterday's midpoint, if that's going to hold. So when I took my scale off, I've got half left, and I'm pulling my stop to break even, which is here. I also now am looking to really press this trade to get a maximum out of it that I can. And the way to do that is to wait for this break here. This is the short-term uptrend line, and as we broke here and we got some good volume, there was the short. So now I had half a short from here, which I closed here at short from here, closed half here, re-added that half back on here when I can see the confirmation of what's happening. Sure enough, we've got a push down, got an expected pause around this level of support, and we're ready to at least trim half if it pushed straight back up again. But we didn't get that. We got this flush straight down lower. Again, a little pause, no real need to scale out, but as I like to reduce the risk, I took half of this position off here. So now I'm left with 3/4 of a position, of a full position. And sure enough, we tested this low here. There was literally no resistance. And as you guys know, if you've been watching the videos, my favorite exit is, yep, you've guessed it, low tick, minus 1,000 tick. Sure enough, there it was. Bang on the button there. All out. No need to panic. So trade was finished there. As you know, when I say all out, I mean I leave a little runner. I always leave a little runner just in case we get on the end of a real heavy move. So majority of it out. I think it was 4/5. It might have been 3/4. Majority of the position out. Lovely, lovely trade, taking that good chunk there and leaving a runner just to see if we can get a little push lower. We didn't get it. We took a stop up here on the last batch as it came up. It actually came up. This candle here tagged this low area here, and I thought, okay, well if this can hold, then I'll stay short. It didn't hold. It came down, but then it popped straight back up again, and so we took a stop just above there on the last small batch. So that was a great trade, and that was it really for the day in the normal time frame. Brilliant little trade that, and that's all you need. Just one good trade like that to keep you going. But just quickly, I'll run through the other trade that I did. I'll just pull this in here so you can see. This was a trade based on the data, a real classical setup. I only trade smaller size in the pre-markets because I don't have the ticks, and as you know, I like to use the ticks. Volume data is a little bit less reliable. Anyway, I had this classic setup here. Data came out at 1:30. Usual thing, 3-bar pop, 1, 2, 3, so that you can confirm that it's a solid move. That was straight after the data. Held the highs, started to rock back. Now, this is the sort of thing you want to get on here. You get your 50%. There you go. Start of the move, end of the move. There's your 50%. Let me just pull this out of the way slightly. You're looking basically to take a position anywhere around this 50%, even anywhere really between there and there, with a stop below the 75. So I actually took my first entry was at the 87 on the futures, which was around here, only because earlier we'd seen some tape support. This is where it pushed up, paused a bit, and then carried on. So I took a long here at the 87 level, and then added at the 83 with a stop around this sort of level here, or no, excuse me, below that 75 there. But I was looking to add again at that moving average level there, but I didn't get a chance. So anyway, we pushed down here. We held around for a while, longer than I would have liked. I like to see this pop immediately back up. It popped up, which was fantastic, and we managed to take it all out. We took this batch up here for a plus 10 at 93, and then this one here, we managed to not quite get the top, and it just started to rock away. So I ended up taking very small two or three tick profit on that one. But this was the one that gave us the main meat of the trade, this little push up here. So that's just really a pretty standard setup. I prefer to see that during the actual trading day rather than pre-market, but it normally happens around data. Put your little grid on, see where the 50% pullback level is. If it starts going down below the 75, then the trade's out. One way you can do it, if you want to be very systematic about it, is just to put your limit there, put your stop there, and quite often it will retest that high and break through. That's really what you're looking for. You're looking for it to push through, to take some off as it pushes up, and then to leave one to carry on above the high. But as my entry was a little bit early here, and I managed to get some off here, we ended up just taking this little chunk here. So that's it really for the day. It'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. Market's done a lot of flirting with the 10,000 level, and we've closed under it for the first time in a while. We closed at 9,985 on the cash, so it's going to be interesting to see what the overnight market brings, and hopefully we'll get some opportunities tomorrow to finish the week on a really good note. Okay guys, good trading. As always, email me mark@thedaytradingroom.co.uk or drop by the forum www.thedaytradingroom.com.